Yo, what up? Yo, Shady C here. Just got done watching The Dark Side of the Ring, episode 1, about the match made in heaven with Macho and Liz, and I kind of wanted to give my feelings, my thoughts, my perspective, my review. As the first storyline I ever watched in wrestling was the Mega Powers. Ooh, yeah. This was definitely emotional. I didn't cry. Shady C don't cry. I'm not actually human, you know. I ain't cry. So, it was definitely an intense episode. First one, I had already watched the Brody one because the Brody one was on YouTube, and this one was on Viceland's website. So I'm gonna do a Brody one in a while, but I wanted to do this one right now. People always said that Randy was too controlling over Elizabeth. I mean, you heard it on podcasts, you heard it on other wrestlers doing shoot interviews that he was too controlling. Obviously, he had a reason to be. Now, I'm not saying all women deserve that, but when you look back, the man had a reason to be controlling. Just think about it. In the Viceland documentary, Linda reveals that as soon as Elizabeth, Hulk was filming Mr. Nanny, and they were down in Miami, and Liz, Macho Man, hell, even Hulk and Linda lived in Tampa. So she wanted to go down, and Macho's like, "Oh, you're gonna be with the kids. Okay, we'll let you go down." So she goes down. As soon as she goes down, she ends up screwing somebody. He had a right to feel the way he felt all those years. All the years of him keeping him locked in the dressing room was probably a battle in his head. He's like, I love her, but I know she a hoe. If I let this girl out, she's gonna screw somebody. And then you look at that and you go, oh man, he crossed the line. He went too far. But then again, look what ended up happening. As soon as she was out of his sight, she did just that, and she ended up leaving him. That shows that a lot of times men do let their hearts get in the way of their common sense. But I mean, you know, rest in peace, Liz. She was one of my favorite characters. Macho Man was the first heel I ever cheered. Because after he went, well, not before, but after the Mega Powers broke up, I still loved him. He had that charisma. But it's sad. It's a sad situation because he was so in love with her, he couldn't see straight. You learn about how they met. They met at a workout place or whatnot, and he was working out there, and she was working there. And he brought her into their family's wrestling show, and I guess she was like, she did producing and editing, and she was also an on-air host. I've seen a couple clips of that old show. Never saw any full episodes, or I'd like to. It'd be cool if the WWE Network would get that. That would be cool to see. Definitely a very, very sad episode. Because I loved Macho and Liz back in the day. I mean, think about it. When Macho was with Sherry, and that match at WrestleMania with Ultimate Warrior, the career ending match, and she's kicking him, and Liz jumps in the ring and pulls her off of Randy, and they do that big hug. I mean, you had grown men in the audience bawling. You had women bawling. That's the way you do a pro wrestling storyline, man. That's the way you do it. But honestly, as I was watching it, I'm feeling anger. I'm like, fuck. And then she ends up dying while with Lex. And I'm not saying Lex is to blame, because in the show, Bischoff even says that he believed Lex. But that was really tumultuous. That was more tumultuous than Randy and Liz's relationship. That was terrible. They were a couple of pillheads, basically. And it cost her life. Now, a lot of feminists out there might be like, oh, Randy was terrible to her. She'd probably still be alive if she had stayed with him. If there's any silver lining to it, is that Macho Man eventually did find love. with a woman who was actually a good woman. Sorry, we're not talking about the characters here. We're talking about the real people. Someone who loved him. Someone who wasn't a pillhead. Someone who was faithful. Most important, faithful is the most important quality in a spouse. I'm not wrong. But to me, it was funny because you hear in the documentary, wrestlers talking about how he kept Liz separate from the boys as much as possible. He kept her away from the boys as much as he could. And he was right. He should have. I don't get that. Like, when people talk about how possessive he was, like, oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. He kept her locked in the dressing room. And he should have, obviously. That's the thing. I'm watching. I'm talking to myself. You know, forget Shady C, forget Chris, forget characters, forget gimmicks, forget all that. I'm sitting there and I said out loud, and he was right to do it. He should have done that, obviously. When you look at what happened, hindsight being 2020, I wanted to see someone in the documentary go, and rightfully so. He kept her away from the boys. Look, Liz was a beautiful woman, a great character. People saw how sweet she was. Fans do it. We don't know. We don't know the real person. We don't know what she was like behind closed doors. Honestly, if Randy hadn't been so protective, she might have had wrestlers tag teaming her. By God, it happened. The British Bulldog just dropped the load in Elizabeth. Dynamite Kid did the flying dick chop from the top rope. It could have been that. You don't know. You don't know. Before anyone criticizes me, oh, you fat, ugly piece. How dare you say that about... You don't know her. You didn't meet her. You met her when, huh? Maybe at an autograph signing, but you don't know the real person. She could have been a hoe. In hindsight, I would say, in my opinion, she was. In my opinion, again, grew up loving Elizabeth, loving Randy, loving the Mega Powers, all that. I could tell you more about wrestling, about what them in the ring than you could, than you know. I watched every match they did. Great character, but obviously, in real life, she was a hoe. So he had every right to keep her away from the boys. I just find it funny when you hear a wrestler talking about it and how terrible he was. It was horrible. He kept her locked in the... and the moment he lets her go free, look what happens. She goes down to Linda and Hogan's hotel while he's filming Mr. Nanny. And she ends up hooking up with somebody. It's in the Viceland documentary. They don't go so far as to call her a hoe, but they basically describe what she done did. Check it out. Viceland, Dark Side of Ring, Episode 1, Match Made in Heaven. You gotta see it. It was cool. It was good. It definitely tugged on the emotions. Randy was a good dude. Never hear stories about Randy out with other women when they were married. He didn't go to Miami and hook up with a chick. She went to Miami and hooked up with another dude. And then you would think if her marriage with Randy was so horrible, the next guy she did pick for a serious relationship would be outside of the business. Nope. Next guy was Lex Luger. Oh, of course. Why not? He's addicted to pills. Why not get with him? That's a good... Again, this plays into my whole, women picking the bad boy thing. And when I say bad boy versus good guy, it's not to paint a good guy in any kind of a saint level. It's to say, hey, no criminal record. Don't beat women. Don't cheat on women. Not addicted to any drugs. That's a good guy. Women don't pick that guy. They pick the pillhead. They pick the crackhead. But, it just, to me, I love the character of Liz. But the person behind Liz, in my opinion, was a hoe. You come on now. Don't be someone... I'm waiting for the white knight libtards to comment, oh, you're horrible. You're terrible. That's wrong. You shouldn't say that. Respect the dead. I do respect her. Rest in peace. She was an amazing on-screen character, and she should be in the Hall of Fame. But she was a hoe. What she did... Watch that documentary and hear about what she did to Randy, and tell me she's not a hoe. Don't worry. I'll wait. But anyways, as you know, this is Shady C, and I'm always right. It just happens that way. I don't control it. I try to be wrong sometimes, and I still wind up being right.